It started out as a calm Thursday morning, the kind where birdsong filters through the half-open window and the breeze carries the sweet scent of freshly cut grass, a scent I would have enjoyed more if I hadn't already been seething from the recent antics of our neighborhood's self-proclaimed tyrant Karen Willis, the HOA president and full-time menace to everyone on our cul-de-sac. I'd been working from home for weeks now, CODING freelance projects for a few startup clients, trying to enjoy a bit of peace in the home I'd bought 3 years ago with my wife Amanda, who had just been appointed as the first female police chief of our small but growing town. We were proud of what we built, both in our careers and our home. The 2-story craftsman-style house tucked behind a tall wooden privacy fence with a backyard garden Amanda planted herself, and a modest but functional tool shed that I built with my own hands during the pandemic. But despite our efforts to stay low profile, Karen had been harassing us ever since Amanda and I refused to attend the weekly HOA wine mixers, and it only got worse when we painted our mailbox black instead of the almond beige mandated by the petty rulebook she held onto like scripture. Her complaints came weekly: lawn too long, bushes not symmetrical, alleged violations for placing solar lights too close to the curb, and my personal favorite, accusing us of running an illegal business because I had clients occasionally drop by. Of course, we had ignored most of it, knowing that the real legal power of the HOA was minimal and mostly toothless, but Karen wasn't the type to be ignored quietly. I'd been noticing things lately: small tools missing from the garden, the padlock on my shed slightly tampered with, even footprints in the dewy grass where no one should have walked. That was when I decided to install discreet but powerful motion-activated cameras across the backyard, perfectly camouflaged into the fence and the tree near the corner of the shed. Days passed and nothing happened until this morning. I was sipping my coffee and reviewing emails when my phone buzzed. Motion detected in the backyard. I opened the live feed and there she was, in all her HOA glory, oversized sunglasses perched atop her perfectly hairsprayed helmet of blonde hair, khaki capris tucked into spotless gardening shoes, tiptoeing around my shed with a measuring tape and clipboard in hand like she was conducting an official city inspection. I nearly spat out my coffee. She wasn't just walking past the fence, she was inside my locked backyard, well past the no trespassing sign I'd posted weeks ago. Without hesitation, I grabbed my phone, hit record, and walked calmly out the back door toward her. The look on her face when she saw me was pure gold, a mix of guilt, entitlement, and fake surprise. "Karen," I said evenly, "what are you doing on my property?" She blinked like I had caught her stealing sacred scrolls from a museum. "Excuse me, I am performing a compliance check on behalf of the HOA. That shed might be in violation of Article 17 but non-uniform structure dimensions within rear property lines," she said, reciting it like scripture, waving her clipboard at me as if it gave her diplomatic immunity. I pointed to the sign directly behind her, reading private property, no trespassing. "Violators will be prosecuted." She looked back briefly but scoffed. "I'm not violating anything. I'm authorized to perform HOA inspections." "No, Karen, you're not. That's not how this works. You can't just break into someone's fenced backyard." Her eyes narrowed, clearly not liking the fact I wasn't rolling over. "I feel threatened right now," she said dramatically, backing away while still standing in my yard. "You're being aggressive and confrontational." I lifted my phone, clearly filming. "You've been caught trespassing. If you feel threatened, by all means call the police." "I will," she snapped. And she did. Right there, she punched in 911 on her phone with the audacity of someone who thought they were the protagonist in a movie about justice and virtue. She took a few steps away and began spinning her narrative to the dispatcher. "Yes, hello, I'm in immediate danger. I was performing a community inspection and the homeowner became very aggressive. I think he's threatening me." I couldn't hear the full conversation, but her tone quickly shifted from assertive to confused. "Wait, who? Amanda? Who's Amanda?" "No, the homeowner's name is Jordan Reyes." "Yes, that's what I said." "Wait, you're what?" Her face turned beet red. "You're kidding." I didn't have to hear the rest to know exactly what happened. You see, what Karen didn't realize, and what would soon be her greatest regret, was that my wife Amanda was on dispatcher duty this morning, covering the early shift before transitioning to her city meetings for the day. Normally she handled administrative police work, but she occasionally volunteered to support understaffed dispatch during high call periods. The chances of Karen's call being routed to Amanda were slim, but apparently the universe had a strong sense of humor. A few seconds later, my phone rang. It was Amanda herself, barely able to contain her laughter. "Hey babe," she said, voice shaking with amusement. "Did Karen just call 911 on you?" "Yup," I replied. "I just watched her trespass on camera, and now she's in the yard accusing me of threatening her. She told me she was performing an HOA inspection," Amanda said. "I asked her for her location and then realized it was our address. I told her she had no legal authority and advised her to leave immediately before she committed an arrestable offense." She hung up. "She's still standing here," I said, eyeing Karen as she stood there flustered, pretending to check her clipboard. "Want to file charges?" Amanda asked. "If she doesn't leave in 2 minutes, absolutely." I hung up and looked back at Karen. You called the police, remember? They said you should leave. Karen opened her mouth to retort but instead stomped off toward the gate, muttering something about abuse of power and not hearing the last of this. As the gate clicked behind her, I let out a long breath. I thought it was over until 5 minutes later, an actual patrol car showed up. Turns out Karen had redialed to dispatch after hanging up on Amanda and demanded that a supervisor be sent. The officer who arrived was Officer Morales, a friend of Amanda's and someone who knew me well. He walked up calmly and said, "Hey, Jordan, Karen made quite a fuss. Said she was nearly assaulted." I handed him my phone and played back the footage. Karen could be seen entering the backyard without permission, arguing with me, and calling 911 with no visible threat in sight. Morales chuckled. "Yep, thought so. She's lucky Amanda took the first call. Another dispatcher might have already had her booked for trespassing and filing a false report. He offered to file a report on our behalf and even said, to be honest, you should consider pressing charges. This isn't the first complaint we've had about her." Apparently, Karen had a bit of a reputation among the local police force, having previously called 911 on a group of teenagers playing basketball, a dog that barked too loudly, and even a UPS driver who she claimed was stalking homes. With the official report in motion, I uploaded the footage to our neighborhood Facebook group, titling the post "HOA President Caught Trespassing on Private Property, Calls 911 When Confronted." Within minutes the post exploded. Dozens of neighbors commented, liking and reacting with laughing emojis. "She tried to inspect my barbecue grill last year." Someone posted, "She peeked through my window once." Another claimed Karen had burned too many bridges, and now the whole neighborhood knew it. That night, Amanda came home from work and we toasted to what we dubbed the Karen incident. She told me the police department would back us fully if we decided to pursue civil action, and that she'd already briefed the city's legal advisor about the situation in case Karen tried to escalate it to some bogus internal affairs complaint. But even before any lawsuit was filed, the real consequence began to unfold. An emergency HOA board meeting was called for the next day. Rumor had it, several board members had grown tired of Karen's overreach, and my video was just the proof. They needed to take action. That evening, as Amanda and I sat on our porch swing with the sun setting behind the trees, I watched Karen's house across the street. Her blinds were closed for the first time in years. No clipboard, no patrol around the sidewalk, just silence. It was the calm before the real storm, the one where Karen would learn that trespassing on a cop's property, especially when that cop is your police chief's spouse, was the worst possible move she could have made. And the best part, we weren't even close to finish. The day after the Karen incident was anything but ordinary. The air in the neighborhood felt electric, like everyone was bracing for a long overdue storm to finally wash away years of passive notes, unsolicited violation letters, and clipboard tyranny. After the video of Karen trespassing on my property had made the rounds on the neighborhood Facebook group, dozens of my neighbors, some of whom I barely spoke to before, suddenly became very vocal allies, flooding my DMs with their own stories about Karen's abuse of power as HOA president. Some talked about being fined for planting flowers that weren't on the approved foliage list. Others mentioned getting threats of foreclosure over minor dues delays. And one guy, Jeff from across the street, told me that Karen once tried to charge him a $250 fine for hanging a Halloween skeleton a week early. It was chaos, comedic, absurd chaos, but this time, it wasn't happening in the shadows or through passive-aggressive emails. The whole neighborhood